That stray glove discovered in the open field, it matches the evidence from the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping almost perfectly. We just got the lab report back and it confirms 0 matches in the offender database. That federal index tracks 57 million profiles, mostly felons, yet this sample failed to trigger a single hit. It is a hurdle, certainly, but hardly the finale, since we have other options. Genetic material can still undergo further analysis through different avenues. I am not referring to the standard swab test we are all familiar with. I mean tracing the family tree. The man who snatched Nancy Guthrie hid his features, wore hand coverings, and cut the video feed. He executed nearly every move with precision. However, he sourced his gear from Walmart. That retailer watches everything and keeps detailed logs of what you buy. Their corporate protection units are currently collaborating hand in glove with federal agents. Any purchase finalized inside those walls, whether digital plastic or hard currency, creates a permanent footprint. Tonight, we track that trail from the Granny Porch video investigators nearly missed right through the tactical gear and apparel. We are diving deep into the shopping archives and security grids. These are the exact forensic strategies that have solved mysteries just like this in the past, while everyone else has been fixated on the demand letters and genetic evidence. Detectives have silently constructed a completely different case based on receipts, shopping habits, and potentially an unmasked photo. On February 10th, the Bureau made public 4 monochrome photos and a pair of clips salvaged from the cloud server of the victim's smart doorbell. Although the abductor tried to smash the unit, he was unsuccessful, and that surviving data now anchors a manhunt involving over 400 officers. The video captures a silhouette standing on the Guthrie family's entryway. It appears to be a man of medium build, standing roughly 5'9" to 5'10", clad in a balaclava, dark outerwear trousers, and hand coverings. He is carrying a rucksack and sports a firearm secured in a hip carrier. One sequence shows him walking up to the entry and lifting a covered palm toward the lens before pivoting away. Another angle catches him staring down the barrel with a torch clenched in his teeth, right before he obscures the view with leaves. Naturally, the crowd has obsessed over the weapon, the disguise, and how he moves. That is expected. Those details grab headlines. But the detectives were scrutinizing a totally different aspect. They analyzed his attire not to critique his style, but because every single article is a distinct commodity. Each item comes from a maker. That maker supplies a store, and that store maintains a ledger. The breakthrough came when they pegged the bag as a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Daypack. Identifying that specific model blew the investigation wide open, because that brand is the retail giant's proprietary line. You cannot find it at Target. It is absent from Amazon. It sits on no shelf in any sporting goods shop or discount warehouse. If you possess this gear, you acquired it from one place, and one place only. That solitary supply chain is the suspect's worst nightmare, because it means a digital record exists for every bag ever moved. Each receipt carries a precise time and a specific geographic coordinate. Depending on the payment method, that purchase points straight to an identity. The corporation has already surrendered these logs to the authorities. They now have the buying history for every single hiker pack moved during the last few months. This covers not only Tucson, but the entire surrounding area, encompassing physical registers and web orders alike. Agents are currently sifting through the numbers, checking sales from the last 30 to 60 days to see who paid with plastic. They are cross-referencing to see if the bag was scanned in the same basket as the other gear the man was wearing. They also need to determine if any of those shopping trips were caught on the store's interior security feeds. That retailer's visual coverage is famously comprehensive, spanning doors, checkout lanes, corridors, and vehicle lots. If the perpetrator walked in to buy that rucksack, there is a strong chance his uncovered face is on a hard drive somewhere. However, the trail does not end with the knapsack. Authorities suspect the rest of his kit, including the coat, trousers, and face covering, came from the same shelves. The leading theory suggests he geared up in one go, a single run to one location captured by one system. Now, the apparel does not share the same unique store brand status as the bag. You could pick up a black coat or mask anywhere. So police are clarifying that the link for the clothes is a strong lead rather than a hard fact. Yet the reasoning behind it remains incredibly sound. Once you confirm the rucksack is a standard Walmart issue, and the outfit matches their inventory, logic dictates the whole kit was likely sourced in one go. If detectives pinpoint the specific labels, they can connect the dots. Picture a shopper scanning out with that distinctive hiking bag, a particular ski mask, and those exact gloves all at once. That individual instantly rockets to the top of the suspect list. But here is where the clues start to scream. Because there is a detail in the video most missed, potentially more damning than the bag, the sidearm rig. The shooter has a holster on his belt, and analysts matched it to a cheap model stocked at certain big box retailers for roughly $10. It is a generic, water-resistant hip carrier meant for a large frame wheel gun, sized for a 4 to 6.5 inch barrel right-handed, yet the weapon he is brandishing looks nothing like a revolver. It looks more like a semi-auto, perhaps a Walther. That is a bizarre mismatch, shoving a pistol into a revolver sleeve. No seasoned shooter would ever select that setup. But it is exactly the blunder a novice makes strolling down the sporting goods aisle, snatching the lowest price carrier available without realizing it was the wrong fit simply because it was there. This screams two facts to the squad. Number one, we are not dealing with a pro. His grip was already shaky. The gear clinches it. He secured a firearm and a scheme, but had zero technical skill to pull it off efficiently. Number two, and this is crucial, the sales volume for that $10 accessory is tiny compared to the backpack. By overlaying the holster sales with the bag purchases at the same location or time frame, the haystack vanishes. Instead of hundreds, they are likely staring at a list of 5 or 6 names, maybe fewer. Federal agents are already attacking the problem from the opposite end too. They have been hitting every firearms dealer in Tucson, showing the security clip and fishing for leads on the shooter or his kit. A local shop proprietor went on record stating the feds presented him a lineup of 18 to 24 specific mugshots to cross-check against his transaction logs. 18 to 24 targets, let that sink in. You do not bring that specific a roster unless you have solid leads from other sources. Whether it is credit card trails, genetic evidence, or informants, something narrowed the field. Checking the shops is just about connecting one final dot to a profile they are already building. While the sheriff claims they have not focused on a specific cluster, the dealer's story suggests otherwise. Detectives have suspects. They are running those identities against every database they can find. And the paper trail from these purchases is likely the fuel identifying those targets. Hold on, we need to clarify a technical aspect of the video because it distorts how we see every piece of evidence. The cam was in night mode. That is default for these smart doorbells in the dark. Infrared completely warps how fabrics look on a monitor. Deep colors can wash it out. Pitch black nylon might show up as silver or white based on the weave. The perpetrator's face covering looks pale in the clip, but authorities represent it as solid black. The varying tones come from how the infrared beam bounces off the textile, not because it is patterned. This optical trick applies to the gun belt as well. A rig that appears tan or two-toned on video is probably a uniform dark synthetic messed up by the IR sensors. This is critical because internet sleuths are trying to ID the gear based on the wrong visual data. Consequently, most of those crowdsourced guesses are dead wrong. Police are operating with a corrected palette of what that equipment actually looks like in daylight. They reverse engineer the image using light physics to determine the true product. That is high-level lab work the average viewer cannot replicate. Plus, there is another hidden clue. The shooter might be wearing jewelry. The sheriff mentioned the footage suggests a band under the glove. Techs are currently scrubbing the video to verify if that bump is actually a piece of metal. If confirmed, that is a massive break. A wedding band or class ring is incredibly hard to hide in plain sight. You can burn your outfit, you can go bald, you can skip town, but if that ring is a daily fixture, people notice. Your colleagues see it. The clerk who sells you coffee every dawn sees it. You see it in photos, you spot it on video, and it stays locked in the memory of anyone who has ever shaken your hand. Verifying that unique ring on the tapes gives detectives a concrete image to show tipsters, offering far more detail than a vague height or body shape. It is a precise item of jewelry that somebody somewhere out there has definitely noticed. If you are asking yourself if tracking store purchases is actually a viable strategy, or if following the paper trail of products can really pinpoint a culprit, we can stop guessing because the Bureau proved it works less than 2 months ago. On December 4th, 2025, federal agents cuffed Brian Cole Jr. for planting 2 pipe bombs near the political headquarters in Washington, D.C. That investigation sat cold for nearly 5 years despite the review of 39,000 video clips and over 1,000 interviews. Even with 600 tips coming in, nothing led to handcuffs until they dug into the shopping receipts. Agents served subpoenas to hardware shops and big box stores hunting for any sales that matched the parts found in those devices. We are talking galvanized steel end caps, 9-volt batteries, timers, and wire. They scrutinized 233,000 sales of just one specific cap. They also went after shoe stores demanding records because they recognized the specific sneakers the bomber wore in the security videos. Next came the cross-referencing, stacking those receipts against cell tower pings, license plate scans, and witness descriptions. Right there in the middle of that massive data overlap, the name Brian Cole Jr. finally surfaced. He had picked up supplies at major chains like Home Depot and Walmart, and his phone placed him right near the crime scene. Traffic cameras had even logged his license plate, proving the evidence was sitting in federal servers for years, waiting to be linked. You simply cannot ignore how similar this is to the Guthrie investigation, where we also have a suspect caught on camera. We have distinct items linked to specific stores with records being pulled and checked against every other piece of proof. The playbook is exactly the same, and federal agents know this method delivers results because they just successfully deployed it. The only real variable here is time. While Cole took 5 years to catch the evidence in the Guthrie mystery is piling up right now. The real question remaining is simply whether these detectives can work any faster. We have to address the DNA evidence now, because the reality is far more messy than most news reports have admitted. Investigators are dealing with at least 2 separate unknown genetic profiles, and crucially, they do not match one another. The first sample came from a glove discovered about 2 meters from Nancy Guthrie's house, lying in a roadside field. Authorities stated the glove looks just like the ones in the doorbell video, and lab tests extracted a genetic profile from an unidentified male. They ran that sequence through CODIS, the national database containing over 26 million offender profiles. It came back with 0 hits, while the second DNA set found on Nancy's property does not belong to her either. It does not match any of her known associates, and most importantly, it is completely different from the traces on the glove. So we have 2 scenes, 2 mystery male profiles, no link between them, and no hits in the entire system. Several theories exist here, and none are straightforward, starting with the chance that the glove does not even belong to the perpetrator. 16 different gloves were picked up during the sweep, and the vast majority actually belong to the search team. The Bureau stressed that linking the glove to the video is purely a visual guess, not a confirmed forensic fact. Genetic material at the house might come from someone totally innocent, like a handyman, a contractor, or a guest from months ago. Houses gather biological traces from countless people over time, or perhaps there really was more than one person involved. The source who sent the ransom tip to TMZ specifically wrote the main individual, rather than just saying the kidnapper. They did not say the person, they said the main individual, a choice of words that strongly suggests accomplices. If a second actor was on the scene, finding 2 distinct genetic markers in different spots fits that theory perfectly. The sheriff hinted that the biological evidence at the house is likely more critical than the glove, believing the suspect's true markers are inside. However, that sample must be isolated, sorted out, and subjected to more testing before anyone can be sure. Forensic teams are now sending the glove sample off for investigative genetic genealogy analysis. This is the exact same advanced method that pinpointed Brian Kohberger in the Idaho College homicides. They upload the genetic sequence to public ancestry sites hunting for distant relatives to build a family tree that leads back to one person. There is a major hurdle that could drag this process out involving the 3 biggest consumer testing companies. 23andMe, MyHeritage, and Ancestry DNA have tested over 50 million users between them. Every single one of them has blocked police and federal agents from searching their private data. Detectives are restricted to smaller opt-in sites like GED Match Family Tree, DNA, and DNA Justice, which hold fewer than 2 million profiles combined. A top-tier expert in genetic genealogy went on record with a bold suggestion for the Guthrie clan: push those massive DNA companies to break their own privacy rules. Whether they will agree remains a total mystery. While detectives chase paper trails and genetic markers, a totally different tech hunt is launching to find Nancy herself. On February 3rd, a defense contractor known as Parsons Corporation rolled out their specialized Bluefly gear to join the hunt. This Bluefly system acts as a high-tech sniffer for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signals, built specifically for rescue missions. The unit is incredibly light, clocking in under a pound, and can sniff out devices up to 218 yards away. They strapped it to the sheriff's chopper before moving it to ground crews, all to hunt for the faint electronic pulse of Nancy's pacemaker. You see, these medical implants send out low-energy Bluetooth pings meant to sync up with phones for health updates. Just because the tracking app severed its connection with her smartphone at exactly 2:28 in the morning does not indicate a system failure. These life-saving devices are engineered to operate autonomously. If that little machine is still beating and Nancy is out there, Bluefly has a real shot at picking up its digital heartbeat. The big headache is that the Tucson wilderness is absolutely flooded with electronic noise from smart gadgets, headphones, and tracking tags. Every single one of those creates interference that the sensors have to sift through. Search teams must isolate and rule out every stray ping until they either lock onto her specific frequency or run out of ground to cover. A cybersecurity pro teamed up with a nonprofit CEO to engineer a brand new drone sensor custom built for this exact mystery. Federal agents have their hands on this prototype right now and could launch it into the skies within days. Experts call that pacemaker the most honest witness involved because it spits out hard data completely free of human bias. If they can just get their hands on those digital logs, it wouldn't just pinpoint her location. It could map out exactly what she endured after the video feed cut out. Then on February 15th, an insider leaked details that completely flipped the script on what the public thought they knew. Police now suspect this was never a snatch and grab job, but a burglary that went sideways, a theory backed by video analysts. The clumsy movements on the tape, the tactical gear they carried, and the chaotic pacing suggest this wasn't a calculated abduction plot. If a thief broke in expecting an empty house and bumped into Nancy, panic would have taken over in a split second. An armed crook facing a homeowner has to decide fast: run away and pray no one recognizes them, or take the only witness with them. That scenario plugs the holes in the kidnapping theory, implying the ransom demands were likely bogus all along. Those notes were probably just cruel scams from opportunists trying to cash in on a tragic headline. Leaving her heart pills behind makes perfect sense too, since a robber wouldn't care about a hostage's prescription. A pill regimen is the last thing on the mind of a criminal who never intended to take a prisoner. The rookie mistakes on video add up. Pros don't shop at superstores for gear, mix up gun holsters, or linger at a crime scene for 41 minutes. But a panicked amateur realizing they are in over their head might do exactly that. And there was another bombshell. Detectives seriously believe Nancy might still be out there breathing. That possibility changes the entire game. If we are talking rescue instead of recovery, every ticking second is lethal. Every clue becomes critical, and the retail tracking, the genetic work, and the tech sweeps transform from solving a mystery to saving a human life. On February 17th, the sheriff officially wiped the slate clean for the Guthrie family, removing them from the suspect list. Brothers, sisters, husbands, everyone was cleared. This wasn't PR. Clearing the inner circle is a massive move in an active case. It proves detectives have torn apart the alibis, scrutinized the call logs, and verified every shred of data to confirm the family had zero hand in this. In a case where the authorities once claimed no one was off the hook, excising the relatives from the list marks a major turning point in the hunt. The facts are leading the police down a new path, proving that the online witch hunts targeting the family, and the keyboard warriors who spun wild stories about strangers based on zero evidence were completely off base. The sheriff made it clear that those rumors were not just false, they were vicious. So what is the current state of play? 400 agents, 50,000 leads, and multiple DNA profiles undergoing lab work. Receipt tracking from a massive retail giant. Agents showing mugshots at gun shops. Drones listening for heartbeats across the Arizona scrub. Genetic detectives are scouring family trees to identify a predator who foolishly believed a simple mask and gloves would make him untraceable. Agents have secured the complete transaction history for a specific backpack sold exclusively at Walmart. A cheap $10 holster with unique manufacturing flaws is rapidly shrinking the list of potential suspects. Investigators are also tracking down clothing items that were likely bought during that exact same shopping run. Forensic teams are running unknown male DNA from 2 separate crime scenes through every national database, while analysts enhance images of a ring worn under the suspect's glove. Most critically, a police insider has leaked information suggesting there is a strong possibility Nancy Guthrie is still alive. The abductor felt invincible when he took her, hiding his identity behind a face covering and latex hands. He managed to disable the camera, but he forgot about the digital receipt and the fact that his bag was sold by only one retailer in the nation. He failed to consider that carrying a holster incompatible with his weapon would be a massive red flag. He overlooked the ring pressing through his glove, the DNA he dropped on a road just 2 meters away, and the overwhelming force of Walmart, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, 400 detectives, and 50,000 citizen tips all zeroing in on a single financial record where someone walked into a shop. That individual purchased a pack, maybe a holster, a mask, or gloves, paying in a way that left a permanent digital footprint in the system. It is only a matter of time before they find it. So if you bought an Ozark Trail hiking bag at a Tucson Walmart between December and January, or if you are aware of anyone who fits that profile, authorities need you to come forward immediately. You can reach the Bureau at 1-800-CALL-FBI or contact the Pima County Sheriff at 520-35-14900. A $100,000 reward is active for Nancy, who has been gone 18 days and is in desperate need of medication for her pacemaker. Out in the Arizona scrublands, 400 searchers are fighting to bring her home because this investigation is far from finished. This is the second chapter of our deep dive. Find the link to part 1 below, subscribe, and ring the bell so you are ready when the next update goes live. In the vast silent stretches of the Arizona scrub, a shadow tried to erase a human life. He wore a mask, disabled the cameras, and stepped into the dark, believing he was a ghost. But in our modern world, there is no such thing as a perfect disappearance. The story of Nancy Guthrie teaches us a profound lesson. Justice is a persistent light. Even when a predator hides his face, his choices scream his identity. A simple store-brand rucksack or a mismatched holster isn't just gear, it is a permanent digital footprint. In the eyes of the law, every receipt is a witness and every transaction is a trail. More importantly, this search reminds us of the power of our collective pulse. While high-tech sensors hunt for the digital heartbeat of a pacemaker, it is the human heartbeat, the tireless dedication of 400 agents, and the vigilance of a community that truly fuels the rescue. We learn that no one is ever truly alone if we refuse to stop looking. Our actions leave echoes, and evil cannot outrun the truth. Let us be the light that exposes the shadow and the hope that brings the missing home. Because in the end, justice isn't just a process, it's a promise that we will never let a neighbor vanish into the dark.